Ideologies are spontaneous.
I believe in Thule, the ancient city, and raising Thule.
The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already.
State-enforced homosexuality.
I'm 22 years old and still a virgin.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Philosophy of Autism. I'm your host, Janus, and my co-host here is Zipper. Our first guest with us today is Kaiser. His current @ right now is @Anime Eaglist, right?
Yeah, unless it gets suspended again. I have a history of doing that.
Yeah, Twitter kind of suspends people a lot, doesn't it? So, Kaiser, I just want to ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little introduction on, like, who you are, what you post on Twitter and all that.
For what I post, it's a mix of everything. For the first thing, you have some malicious posted, and afterwards you have me posting an anime goal, which makes it kind of weird when you come on my account. But then at the same time, I'm mostly on anime Twitter because a lot of the strats hate me, probably for my takes and what I post.
We can all relate to that heavily, so no worries there, Mr. Kaiser.
Don't worry, Mr. Kaiser. A lot of the trads hate me too. So, we want to ask you about, like, your takes. First, we want to ask you, what do you think of women, Mr. Kaiser?
They should not vote.
They should not vote. That's the first thing you want to say about women. Interesting.
Yes.
Repeal the 19th Amendment? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Kaiser?
Secondly, they should go ahead and get, better jobs that suit them, like being maids or...
so domestic workers.
Yes. And they should also learn how to cook.
Yeah, a lot of women don't know how to cook now, huh?
Yeah, that's because of, after that's because in 1994 something happened.
All women born after 1993 don't know how to cook.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Women not born on December 31st, 1993, they can cook fine. But then once they were born on January 1st, 1994, they gave up.
We saw on Twitter that there's a very particular thing you were talking about regarding women. There's a certain popular term called mommy GF. We want to ask you, what is a mommy GF? Could you explain that, Mr. Kaiser?
Just any girl that acts motherly but isn't your mother. And instead your significant other.
Can you describe exactly what this mommy GF would do? In your mind, what would they do?
I don't know, technically take care of you, even though they probably shouldn't be working, so instead, I don't know, cook you stuff, or... I don't know how to explain it fully.
Well, what I'm really interested in is if you have a mental image of what this mommy GF would look like, if you happen to get one. If Mr. Kaiser, got himself a mommy GF, what would it look like?
Like my Avi on Discord, blonde, let's just say big-chested and big in other areas too.
Blonde and well-developed in many different areas.
Well endowed. Well endowed.
So that actually leads really well into this question. I've heard particularly that you have a fondness for blonde girls. Is there something special in particular about blonde girls that you like?
No, I just like them.
You just have a personal preference towards them?
Purely aesthetic.
That's basically it.
I see. I was actually told once that there was a companion of ours that you were talking to, I believe Preek, and he told you that his GF was blonde, and you said, "Oh, damn, I'm jealous."
Did I? No.
That's just what I heard. I don't know for sure, but I just felt like asking you that because I thought you would have quite a fondness.
But I don't know what to say. I don't know. I guess that sounds something like a Kaiser thing to say.
Sounds like a Kaiser thing to say.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I can't really blame you.
Yeah, that's very good, Kaiser.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we also want to ask you in particular. We've covered that women don't want to vote. You don't want women to vote, and
Well,
that you do not want women to be outside of the house, right?
Except if they're actually buying the food to make the dinner, then no, they should not be outside the house.
All right. So what do you think of actually enslaving women?
Okay, that's kind of too far, I guess. I
that's
don't like
too
slavery.
far. So where is the
Yeah.
line, Mr. Kaiser?
I don't know.
How patriarchal do you want your society to be?
Mostly patriarchal.
Well, let's say this. How much freedom do you think a woman should be allotted in comparison to a male?
They shouldn't be allowed to vote, and they
Shouldn't be
shouldn't
allowed
be
to vote.
allowed to have certain jobs or fight in the military. The jobs that they should have in the military are non-combat jobs, so then the men can fight because they shouldn't be fighting.
So you still think women should have jobs like nursing, maid work, and all that? Domestic jobs, yeah. And healthcare jobs.
Yeah.
And basic
I
service jobs.
Yeah. But most other jobs, no.
All right. And one last question though about women. You know that in many different countries in the world, women are forced to cover up almost all of their skin using either hijabs or burqas or some form of dress. How covered up would you like women to be?
I mean, I wouldn't mind a headscarf, but that's as far as I will go.
I see. I see.
A
I
modest
still want to know
Kaiser.
how. I still want to know how they look like because I don't want to marry my wife and figure out that she looks like a rat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you don't want to accidentally marry someone who's just butt ugly. Is that
Oh,
what
see,
you're saying?
that's another thing then. How do you feel about makeup then, Mr. Kaiser?
If it isn't made to make it to where that's how I don't mind it if it makes the beauty of the woman pop out, but if it's the reason a woman looks beautiful, that's the problem.
So it's like you only want makeup if it accentuates a woman's beauty but doesn't completely cover up her other less aesthetic features.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right, so we were going to go ahead and ask you a little bit more about your religion in particular. It seems like something you're very passionate about.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah. So you consider yourself a Catholic, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When did you become a Catholic? Were you born into it, or did you convert, or what happened?
Kind of converted. I would have officially converted today, but then other problems happened, like Chinese virus, so I can't do anything about it.
I see, I see. So you weren't originally Catholic. Were you attending any other kind of church, or were you just an atheist?
I mean, I was an atheist technically for 2 years, but I was raised a Baptist. My mom doesn't want to admit that I was raised a Baptist, but I literally went to Baptist churches. So, yeah, I was raised a Baptist. Whatever my mom says, she's wrong.
I see.
So when you go back and this whole pandemic is over, are they going to have you confirmed, or are you going to be rebaptized into the Catholic Church?
I mean, I was never baptized to begin with because of how the Baptist rules are, where it was like once saved, always saved, and because you have to feel you've been saved before you can get baptized, which I've never felt. So,
I
yeah,
see.
that's not gonna
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you'll go ahead and get baptized, and that'll probably be wonderful. Really looking forward to you experiencing that, friend.
So are you currently like RCIA right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I actually heard that you do not particularly like pews. Can you elaborate a little bit on why the Catholic Church should remove pews from its church?
Because it came after the Protestant Reformation, mostly. It was not something originally inside the Catholic Church, which is why Orthodox in general don't actually have them, because they never had that influence from other nations that were mostly Protestant. if you go to churches in Europe, though, a lot of them don't even have pews because they were built before the Reformation. So a lot of them didn't want to have them installed because of how the flows out. Now they would have chairs though, like the Notre Dame. It doesn't have any pews, but it does have seats.
Now, to be clear, if you go to a Greek Orthodox church, especially over stateside, most all of them have pews.
Yeah.
So it's not a thing that Orthodox just plainly don't do. But
Yeah.
you
It's
could,
again, well, that has to do more with because of its location in the United States and mainly Protestant countries. They had that influence. Unlike if you go to Orthodox countries like Greece or Russia, they won't ever have any there in general.
well, you see, I just have a little bit of a problem with this, Kaiser, because I actually am a fan of sitting. I really enjoy sitting. I love sitting. And I'm really hurt that you want to take away my privilege of sitting in the church. I mean, not that I would if I'm not Catholic, so it wouldn't particularly affect me.
It seems more like a cultural issue than like a theological one, honestly.
Yeah, you don't think there's anything inherently sinful about sitting, do you?
No, it's just mostly traditional and.
I see.
Like, I wouldn't mind the pews to stay for like more older people who really can't stand, or maybe pregnant women. But other than that, yeah. If you have a toddler, you can probably carry them, and if you have a kid, then little Jimmy's just gonna have to deal with it.
See, that was my experience when I went to an Orthodox church here in California. They had pews, but they had told me that usually we stand. It's just there for like the older people who have like, back or knee problems. But they say like, if you're there with the service, you should stand. That's what they said. Which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, but that's basically my entire feeling on them. They came mostly after the Reformation, so I'm not as big of a fan of them.
You just want to keep with tradition and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is tradition important to you in the church?
Yeah, more important than a lot of the Stradcasts, technically, because one tradition I do like is intinction, which is literally taking the bread and dipping it in the wine. Stradcasts would tell you otherwise. They will say, oh, the laity shouldn't take the wine. It should be something that only the priest should be given, because some tradition that was only made because Scandinavia really couldn't get access to wine because they couldn't make it. And then John Hus had to, come about, and then the reason they actually banned it was only because they said, if you want to be a heretic and say that you have to take the wine, then we're just not going to offer it to the people. So it's kind of that, how there's that one kid who misbehaves and the entire class gets in trouble because of it. That's basically what it was.
I see. So, ironically enough, you seem to care more about tradition, even though you are disparaged by the tradcasts, the people that consider themselves the most traditional.
Again, a lot of them would say that their idea of tradition is anything that comes out after Vatican II. They really don't have as big of an idea of tradition as they want you to think.
Okay. I see. Now, I really hate to bring this up, and I don't mean it anything against you, but I would like to know what you think. There was a point in time where you were doing some things that were not particularly traditional, and I think that's why a lot of them disparaged against you. And I wanted to offer you a chance to talk about it a little bit and clarify for people. You were dating a man last year or the year before?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done any of this, but hey, I would say I was a horny bastard, but I think that'll still clarify today, kinda.
You still consider yourself a horny bastard?
Well, by most people. I am trying to stop, though.
I see.
In one, at least.
It's very admirable.
It's mostly teenage hormones, though. I can't control that. All I can do is
No. I completely understand. I'm sure Gondola does too. The all of the testosterone flowing through you as a young 16, 17-year-old man.
As a young, virile male
Yeah.
myself, sometimes the urge is very great. That's why
You know,
prayers needed,
sometimes,
brother.
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you have to pray and
Yeah.
keep praying, or else you'll just go nuts. You'll run around the town raping everyone.
Exactly.
Not that, but
You
Or
never
you-
thought of doing that?
You might rape a woman, or you might think a man's hot enough to fuck, so we don't know.
okay.
Too much testosterone, you know. Gotta keep it under control,
Yeah.
Mr. Kaiser.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about your religion, about that you're Catholic,
Oh,
and
you know, we
that you
haven't
seem to be pretty. You
Yeah.
seem to be pretty faithful. Mm-hmm.
we haven't mentioned the church policy on Islamic banking yet.
Right. You call it Islamic banking, but it's actually just a specific system.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
think that the Catholic
Islamic-
Church should change their monetary policy.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, because technically, well, when they say Islamic banking, the entire system's supposed to work in a sense where the banks are still able to make money, but they're not making it through interest, because interest, according to the Catholic source, is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Like usury,
But the
right?
thing was, yeah, it's usually, but because of states like Venice and stuff, sadly, the Catholic source became very soft on the idea of interest.
So, how does the Islamic banking system work? The one that you suggested changing
I-
and implementing with?
I think, in a sense, it's kind of like, I don't really know how much to explain it, but it's sort of like you kind of pay rent in a sense for when you buy property or stuff, and that makes profit and make money, but it's not making it into a. Now, Islamic banking in and of itself will go as far as to say you can't make money through, say, alcohol, which isn't a sin. I really don't want to go that far in a sense to where that's not how you can profit, but
So there's no interest. It's like a fixed
when I say-
payment, sort of.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically, how it works here is if you get a credit card or something, you're expected to pay interest on it and stuff like, 20% interest. And the thing is, it's like, interest is like, you borrow 20, you borrow and stuff from somebody, but then you have to pay back 25.
It's like when you take out a loan.
Yeah.
I think.
But the Catholic Church is against it, though, which is why when I say Islamic banking, it's just how most people remember the banking system as. That's just the popular name for it.
So it's a
Mhm.
non-usury based loaning system that banks used to do before the time of the Venetians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, you live in the United States of America, is that correct?
Yeah.
And I've heard that you, in particular, have very bold opinions when it comes to what you believe about American government.
Can
Um,
you repeat that?
I've
Because-
been told that you have very bold opinions when it comes to politics and when it comes
Yeah.
to the way the American system currently works. So I guess I want to start off with asking you, what is your ideal form of government?
And I guess sort of monarchism, but not in the feudal sense, more in the sense of how, because of how America is, I feel that, a modified version of the Roman system can work here because of how big we are, and it'll help, and sort of something I would want.
So it's like more like a federal dictatorship, I guess.
Yeah, and I would want the highest person in office to be an emperor, not a president.
Not a president. So
I'm
like,
not fond of republics.
so
Mhm.
more power than the executive power he currently has.
Democracy can only work on a tiny scale, and the bigger it goes on, the less democracy can work out. When Rome expanded, democracy worked less and less in Rome. It was not working for them after, a while. It was bad for Rome when they expanded, which is why they became an empire, so the government can function more and more.
So you want America to make the Roman transition from republic to empire.
Yeah, and because to me, how America is now, because we've expanded so much, democracy is barely working here anymore. We're so big that democracy cannot work out.
So the question is how do you choose the emperor? Because Rome had its own methods, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So how would this work in the American Empire?
It's sort of like, in a sense, about how kings already took power, and it's basically the strongest person would basically take power in a sense and take everything over, but also I don't know how to explain it. I would like more of a hereditary system. Even when it came to Roman stuff, they've never really had a set system on how the emperor was supposed to be chosen, so it always was flip-flop. Sometimes it'll be hereditary,
can choose his
sometimes the
successor.
Senate would choose him.
That's how it worked in Rome. The
Yeah.
emperor could choose his successor. So it could be blood related, or it could be a man that he groomed to become the emperor, like him.
Yeah, so like it's basically, if you look at the Catholic Church, they have the papal enclave, but technically the Pope can choose however he wants the Pope to be chosen. Maybe he can choose the successor himself. In a sense, that's kind of how, they didn't officially have the elections, but it was a sense of however the emperor wanted the emperor to be chosen. Maybe if the emperor wanted the Senate to choose it, then the Senate could choose them, but then the emperor could also,
because Rome had the consulate and all that.
Yeah. So it was always dependent on how the emperor wanted the.
So do you think, like the Catholic Church, you think instead of like a council of cardinals, we could have a council of delegates instead? Do you think that would work?
In a sense, like I would like to have the Senate still around, but to me, I think it's best to just say the successor should be hereditary.
You think hereditary is better?
Yeah.
Well, see, from an historical point of view, when Rome had hereditary emperors, those were the worst emperors that historians usually say. So I don't know how you could work that out.
I'm also aware of that. It's kind of strange that you prefer the hereditary stream. What are the benefits you see to there being a direct line of succession through blood?
For one, it might be able to prevent pretenders, because a lot of one problem some states have is that they have these pretenders, and even if
usurpers
the
and all
emperor
that,
shows it, then say some son can just come up and say he wants power and stuff, and even if the emperor say some general that wasn't in his bloodline, his son could say just claim, hey, I'm the son of the emperor, and therefore I technically have the legitimate claim, which could cause a problem and could cause a civil war to happen if the pretender gets enough support. And another reason why is I feel it'll also help prevent maybe a collapse. So, because if you saw what happened in Spain for shows his successor and stuff, and after he died, the successor went on and did something else and basically abolished everything he's built. I feel you want to avoid something like that.
I see. So primarily we're just avoiding problems that you've seen in past governments that happened, and that you believe that hereditary descent can actually kind of patch up the holes.
Yeah, and the only way a hereditary monarchy can really fail is if somehow the bloodline dies out, which is usually will to happen because usually there's always somebody who succeeds the line. Even definitely in the modern day where you have all this technology to where it's basically impossible for a hereditary monarchy to kind of fail.
So, in your eyes, this hereditary monarchy, the empire and the emperor of America, this whole system is actually foolproof, almost foolproof.
Yeah. And to me, no government is foolproof and stuff, and there's always going to be some flaws and some ways it can fail, but to
Of
me,
course.
it's just more or less the best you can have it.
Well, I know we've talked a lot about how the emperor would work and how everything would be established through at the top of the level, but what changes would you see on the ground level? Like, what do you think would change in an everyday citizen's life in your empire in America as opposed to what we have right now?
For one, women wouldn't be working in the jobs they are now, but that was already a point established.
Right.
Okay.
Of course.
And to me, I feel, in a sense, hopefully there would be a decrease in, say, the degeneracy you see nowadays of all this gay marriage and acceptance culture that they built up.
A stronger hand in the government would enforce more moral values in the culture for the
Yeah,
common man.
especially if it's written in law that religion is part of culture. That'll help out in my opinion.
Okay. So all of this kind of ties into each other. The women, the religion, and the politics. If the women are kept off the streets and in the homes and at service jobs, and if everyone remains faithfully Catholic, those two elements combined with the empire will create a very solid government, a very solid foundation for empire.
Yeah, that's at least what I see.
I see. I also want to cancel women, so I'm right there with you, friend. Let's see here.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
I've also heard at times, this is, we've had conversations before, and I've heard many times when we talk that you personally actually have aspirations of becoming a political leader. Would you want to be the emperor of this new American empire?
Basically,
You would want to be at the top, making all these decisions.
yeah.
Some people would call that absolute psychopathy, wanting to be in charge of hundreds of millions of people and have all of that responsibility weighed upon you. But do you believe that there are attributes about yourself, certain skills you have that would make you fit for the job?
What makes you a competent leader?
I mean, not that I really could say right now. I mean,
Right.
to me, I still am at the age I am. I really haven't discovered my full skill set yet or what I'm really good at. But I guess the fact that I actually understand what's going on and thinks that, oh, well, I can't just use the system since I really don't trust that the system is going to, help and that we can use it to help the people out. I feel the system's too far dead at this point, and it's just going to lead to a more disaster if you keep trusting in it.
Well,
I see.
Well, let's say you did become emperor, Mr. Kaiser. What would be your first edict? The very first thing you would want to reform?
I mean, other than the government, which is probably obvious, I'd say a lot of the economy and stuff and create more of an economic system that can work out instead of free market capitalism that you see now. And
I've heard you criticize. I've heard you criticize free market capitalism before. I just have to ask. This is me making an assumption. Are you thinking you want to do a sort of distributive system?
I mean, I wouldn't know because Autism talked about. I really don't have much of an opinion on it because I really don't know much about it.
Listen, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not the egghead here, right?
All right. So, what would you propose instead of capitalism? Like, what do you see working better than the current system?
I mean, to me, I would say probably for one, taking a more sort of hands-off approach when it comes to state economics, but it's not in the sense of capitalist. It's just that because of how big the U.S. is, each state has very, very different economics. Their economy is different depending on where you're at. Maine and California, especially, would not have the same exact economic, like, imports or exports or how their economies run. So it's kind of more soda on it and help, but in a sense, not in a way of it's capitalist. It's more or less. I don't see a I don't see a centralized power being able to run in these entire states.
I see. So actually, in a way, when you become emperor of the United States, you would actually be liberating all of the states from each other. You would be allowing their economies to work in benefit and specialize towards the specific state's needs. So you're kind of, in a way, liberating all of these states.
Yeah, because to me, a big problem is the U.S., and this has to do with the Civil War. The U.S. is very much afraid to really get the states' actual rights. So
Right.
then they think that that the government, for some reason, is able to, to think that they more or less know the states better and is able to run the states by themselves, which they can't, because some delegate in Washington that's from California is not going to be able to know how to help the economy of Maine. They've never been there, or if they ever really lived there, so they know nothing about it.
Okay, so instead of the parliamentary system we have right now in the federal government, you would rather have more power to the state governors instead to run their own economies.
I mean, yeah. Now, when it comes to politics in general, like political decisions, I do not really believe in having this, hands off approach in it. And I feel like a more centralized policy can work out, sort of how it was in Rome. I just don't think a more centralized economy can work.
Okay, so you were kind of confusing me there for a moment because, we were starting to talk about, oh, the American empire, republics don't work, democracy doesn't work when on such a large scale. And then we were discussing, and then we went from that to discussing how your first decree as emperor would be actually to not give a decree, actually to do as you please, let them eat cake or whatever you would like.
I mean,
So,
it's more or
but
less
what?
saying
Mhm.
what. Oh, you can talk first.
No, no, no. I was just saying, are you basically saying that you want the economy to remain independent of each other in each state, but you would like the social policy of politics to be handled entirely by the central government?
Yeah, that's yeah. Because I mean, for one, like you could even see it in other states. I could say, for example, the federal government officially says weed is illegal and that you can't have it, but each state just decides, well, it's legal in our state, even though the federal government actually bans it. I
Mhm.
could, for example, say, gay marriage is now illegal, that it cannot be practiced throughout the empire. They can say, well, you know what? I'll just legalize it here because you can't do anything about it.
So you would lay down the federal law, basically.
Yeah, basically saying, no, we are enforcing this law and we will send troops in and have this law enforced if you don't obey.
All right. So, now that I'd like to talk a little bit more about policies since you brought it up. You were talking about marijuana, obviously. Um, and you were also talking about gay marriage. What would you want to do with all of the homosexuals once you were in charge?
What do we do with them?
What do we do?
Hopefully convince them into more of a celibate life, but I mean, really can't do much about it because I don't want the federal government to just be breaking into people's houses at the same time and trying to. I do, excuse me, I do believe in sort of privacy in their own homes, but
You wouldn't want like a magistrate, a police officer, to be knocking on your door like, "Hey, are you hiding any gay people in here?" Like that. You don't want that? Because I think some of the trad cats would think that's a very good system, but you disagree.
Yeah.
You respect the individual. Okay.
All right. So, in Kaiserland, in the United States of Kaiser, would there be no drugs or contraband?
Would there be no?
I'm
like-
speaking of illegal drugs
For recreational use.
recreational drugs like
Mhm.
marijuana, crack cocaine, methamphetamine.
Yeah, all those.
I mean, it depends on the drug. I'm still kind of iffy on the marijuana issue still, and I really wouldn't know what to say about it, but it's kind of more of an iffy issue. No cocaine.
No cocaine.
Don't like. I mean, I don't like any drugs in general, but you can't ban all of them.
Right.
Because it's like, like if alcohol is all right, then where's the line really? Because there's some who would argue that marijuana is actually less dangerous than alcohol for the general public.
And I mean, to me, that's the thing and stuff, and it's kind of a sense I more or less want to, make it legal, not in a sense of I agree with using it, in a sense of I really just don't want there to be as big of crime as you see now.
Well, in a healthy, morally upright society, most people find no need to do drugs in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be like your crime if you're caught with like certain kinds of drugs? Because in some other countries, right, drugs are basically decriminalized, like in the Netherlands.
I would
in
say
Asia, they're capital punishment.
I would say when it comes to use, I would say more or less sort of decriminalized in the sense of you have to be sent to rehab and stuff, and you can get a fine. I don't agree that they should be arrested because a lot of these people can't get off of it. Some of these people want to quit, but they can't because they feel the need of. Yeah, that's the thing, and I don't think these people should be punished with it. It's not their fault.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the dealers should always be punished. The dealers deserve it because they're the ones that are feeling these people. They're the ones that are making these people addicted and stuff, and they're basically holding them. And some of these people don't even want to do it anymore, but they feel they have to. And if they try to quit, these dealers would still feel them up.
So you really place, what would be the punishment
for a dealer?
A felony, which could also probably lead to execution, depending on how bad they did the crime.
I see.
Ooh. Now, I was about to ask if you approved of the death penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
All right. How many people do we need to kill, though? How many of the criminals that come in? Because, we actually have a pretty bad prison problem. It's not as bad in the United States as it is in other countries, like the United Kingdom. It's very bad over there. But across the world, there's many overpopulated prison systems. How many of the criminals, like what kind of crimes should people die for? Yeah, you kind of cut out for me for a second there.
Yeah.
Pedophilia?
That's
Okay. A lot of, and kind of the same with rape too and stuff. I would say it should also be more crime.
Rape. How about murder?
Yeah, that.
Because we have first degree, second degree, third degree, and manslaughter and all that. So
when it comes, it depends. Like manslaughter, I don't believe that you should just be. I don't believe you should be killed or executed because of manslaughter and stuff. And I think when it comes to the degree of murder and stuff, I would say first and second degree and stuff, because which one is the one where they said that they actually had a reason to?
I think isn't it like second degree is like you thought about it, or and then third degree is like you premeditated it, right? I believe.
Yeah, first degree.
First degree was it was a reaction to something that happened to you.
No, no, first degree is more or less just, I think, one of them just means that you had no intent, that you literally just felt like going out and killing someone.
Yeah, it was like a reaction, I think.
Yeah, and that I do believe does deserve an execution because you intentionally took the life of someone else for no reason. Second degree, John say somebody,
Wait,
know.
I think second degree is worse for a reason. Hold up, let me look that up.
I would say it should depend on why they did it, though,
First
is what
degree
I
murder.
think.
Oh no, first degree is the most serious. Never mind.
I would say
We're getting this
second
mixed
degree-
up. We're getting this mixed up.
Yeah.
Here, let me clarify real quick. So, first degree murder is premeditated murder, where they planned it out and they intentionally carried out a killing. Second degree murder is intentional or reckless, meaning it was in the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And first degree is more serious because of the premeditation.
When it comes to first degree, I would say myself, I think when it comes to murder, though, it should be, in a sense, like, if they had a reason for doing it, it should be, why did they do it to begin with? Say, it was because of, say it was a bad guy and stuff. Say it was somebody that was, abusing them and stuff. And, you can't find really much evidence of the abuse, so you sadly can't say it, but I wouldn't say they should be executed for it.
Well, that would be called a crime of passion, I believe.
Yeah, but I think it's because, you can't find any proof on any other side. You can't find proof that the person abused it, but you also can't find proof that they're lying. So I don't think the person should be executed just for it. But if somebody just got decided that they got mad at somebody and stuff, or didn't like someone say at their school and stuff, and planned out this way of luring into them in their home and killing them and stuff, then to me, I think that.
Okay,
To be
so
punished for.
All right.
let me put
see
out
that
this.
you've put. I want to ask a question real quick. I
Yeah.
apologize. You've put a lot of thought into who you would kill, but I actually want to know how would you kill them? I mean, right now we have this very kind of wussy kind of lethal injection where they don't feel anything. We don't even put a bullet into people's heads anymore. But what kind of execution do you prefer?
I mean, in a sense, I would just say whatever I feel like it, but in a more official sense, one firing squad, because it's less expensive than lethal injection. Lethal injection, for one, you have to buy these expensive drugs, these expensive stuff, which, and lethal injection is actually less humane. You may not think it and stuff, but lethal injection has a lot of botches to it. It is less humane than, say, firing squad. Firing squad, you're literally just shooting at a guy.
Well, I would ask you, why don't you just do the old method and just hang a guy?
That too is something I would agree with.
Very cheap. A rope is very cheap in comparison to even a bullet.
Yeah, because a rope could be reused. Now, I say more officially hanging and firing squad, but I do think some crimes the victim should be allowed to decide how the person wants to.
So honor executions and all that. The family decides.
Like, say, again, like child rape, for example, maybe the parents should be allowed to decide, if the parents didn't do it, and say it was just some guy who they lured a kid into their car and then they got caught, the parents should be allowed to decide, hey, how do you want this person to
be killed or to die?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of element of revenge in there, but maybe we should make pamphlets, execution styles, and give them to victims of a murder. I think that would be very interesting.
See,
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, crimes like drug dealing, you should hang them in the town center, just like they used to.
Now that one, I would agree with.
Public executions should be probably brought back,
So it could be on mine to say to the drug dealer, auto drug dealer, saying, hey, you better stop now, this is gonna be you next.
Yeah, public executions should be brought back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, to me, I feel like it would help decrease crime. Not in the sense of people wouldn't want to do it, in the sense of people are afraid to do it.
It's like a deterrent, Like, if you get caught, that's how it is.
I do have one more question though,
Yeah.
and then I'll let Gondola continue. Uh, we were talking earlier about people that are on drugs and how you primarily blame the drug dealers, and you don't think that it's an addict's fault that they're completely addicted. And there's always this conversation in politics of whether rehabilitation or punishment is more effective in helping society. And I like to think back, if you were truly traditional, there was great public humiliations that would happen as punishment for certain crimes. Like you would strip a man naked and put him inside of a cage in the town square and have everyone stare and laugh at him inside of the cage. Is there any particular form of public humiliation that you would consider to be a good idea for your empire?
I wouldn't know myself.
Are you not into public humiliation, Kaiser?
I haven't researched into it.
Maybe that's something you can look into.
I jokingly wanted to say pink killing them. That would kind of be funny, but
I
I don't
think
know if
that's
that'll
Are you suggesting that to hardened criminals that since their entire identity is wrapped around being these horrible, horrible people, that we feed them estrogen so that they turn into beautiful, petite little female bodies, and that they that they have to carry on through life?
I think the funny thing about it is that they're literally being more weakened, which is what makes it more funny. Is that they're literally being weakened because of what it's doing to their bodies, so they're not strong enough as say they might have been beforehand.
I see. So really, you're actually preventing for future crime from happening by doing this.
Since because I'm literally. But like a problem is some people would think it's like some fetish or something.
Kaiser, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's worse than lethal injection.
It probably is, but it's also more or less humiliating them. But in a sense, isn't public humiliation worse than, say, dying because now everyone knows who you are and now everyone's laughing at you?
I mean, at least if you live, you always have a chance to redeem and repent, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You could always castrate the hardened criminals because that'll take away a very large source of testosterone, and that would do a lot of similar things that estrogen does.
And then you put them on HRT.
Right.
If that works, then that works.
All right, we got the Kaiser seal of approval. All right,
it's an official decree now, fellas. That guy just killed 12 men. Put him on HRT. I think that's a perfect society, really. I was gonna ask you, like, real quick, Kaiser, because we were talking about like murder and like the reasons for it. How do you feel about honor killing? Do you know what that is?
What you mean by it? Honor to if it's murder and stuff. And
honor killing is a policy in some countries where if your spouse cheats on you, you are legally allowed to kill them.
I wouldn't go that far, to be honest. I don't think. No, that you should just be like, oh, the person cheated on you. I would say required therapy, most likely.
Because in traditional law, adultery was met with stoning.
Yeah, I wouldn't make adultery a felony. I'll make it illegal, but I would say more or less a required therapy is what should be done. Talk about why they did it and stuff, and mostly find the problems and solve them.
Well, okay, so that'll lead into this next question. So what do you think about divorce and all that in terms of law and in the family unit?
Divorce, I, in a sense, disagree with, though. When it comes to it, I would say it should only be allowed if you have a reason to. If you're like, oh, well, I just don't love them anymore, then to me, that's their fault. They should have probably thought about it to begin with.
Well, adultery is one of the reasons for divorce in many legal cases.
Yeah. And I would say, I guess allow it if they have a reason for it and stuff. And I really don't, like, to me, I don't see, I just don't love them anymore as a reason. I don't think that's a reason to divorce someone, in my opinion.
Well, In the Catholic Church, newlywed couples are usually taken for marriage therapy, actually. So you think that could be a system you can implement back in?
What? Newlywed couples are what?
They're in the Catholic Church, newlywed couples are required to take marriage counseling. I call it therapy, but it's actually counseling.
I would say yeah and stuff, but to me, I would say I think that they should do the same thing in the Catholic Church kind of does and have more or less they require a waiting period before you get married, because to us, marriage is a sacrament. You can't get a divorce after that and stuff, and basically you're married forever. So it's basically they want you to more or less want to actually marry the person, and that's how it sort of is.
Okay, then.
Before we go anywhere else, this is very tangential, but I was told that I absolutely had to ask you about this if we were to actually do this podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Kaiser.
Yeah,
What is the deal with Antarctica?
that's just my story, I guess. I don't want
Your
to spoil.
story.
I don't want to spoil the thing on the podcast.
Wait,
You don't
what
want
are
to
you, what
spoil.
are you
You're
talking
writing
about?
a story.
Wait, what are you talking about? Yeah. What are you talking about?
It's something
Antarctica?
I'm writing and stuff.
Are you a novelist, Mr. Kaiser?
Kinda. If writing a manga counts as novelist, then yeah.
Is it like a
Oh,
comic
you're writing
book?
a manga.
Is it a comic book?
Don't do mangas count as comic books?
I guess you could call them comic books or graphic novels, whatever you want to call them. But in a sense, yeah. So are you drawing this and writing out?
I'm not drawing it though. I have a fund.
But you're writing the story.
Yeah.
And it's about Antarctica.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this. Yeah, what's the deal with Antarctica?
It's more specifically because it's still in the actual Antarctic quote unquote civil war. I don't want to explain why I said quote unquote, because I have a reason I said it. If I say so and explain the entire story right now, then everyone would know how it ends, and I don't think anyone would want to buy it at that point. But
so give me a basic premise of your story then.
basically, the entire republic is coming into. It takes place a year before the Civil War, where at least it starts then, where the Republic of Antarctica is basically at its collapse and is not doing well anymore. So, with all these problems going on, it would eventually collapse because that's in its name and stuff. I'm just not going to explain how everything came to the point. That's what would spoil it.
In this world, is Antarctica still in the South Pole or has it shifted?
It's still in its same location and stuff. It just is habitable.
Does your manga feature a young, bright, lovable shonen protagonist?
I guess so I guess so, but he would change throughout the story, of course, because it's a literal war. He's not gonna be, because one of my protagonists, and I have multiple of them, does start out this is all I'm gonna say, is he starts out the story as somebody that's fun and stuff. He's a fun guy and stuff, but he's gonna change a lot throughout the story because he literally has to go through a war. So he isn't gonna be the same person he really was at the beginning anymore because of how it is.
So does this story revolve around one character and his journey throughout the war, or is it like a series of stories?
It's actually that series of stories.
A series of stories. So it's like a collection of war stories in this fictional universe.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's drawing it for you? Is it someone on Twitter?
Yeah.
Can we get like an @ or something?
I mean, in the set,
who's the artist?
I don't know his @ offhand. Then.
That's okay. We'll look at it later then.
Okay.
How far along would you say you are in this in writing the story, and like how far along do you think it is from the finished product?
I'm more or less starting to get started on the beginning and stuff because there was a lot I had to do a lot when it comes to world building and stuff because I couldn't just not know how the world is set up.
Yeah, storyboard it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I more or less wanted to know how really just wanted to know how the story was set up and how everything worked in this country first before I really did much.
Okay. So how long have you been working on it?
Some years now and stuff.
Oh.
I more or less sort of had the idea in, let's say, 4th grade of having a story based in Antarctica, though it was way different from the current one. The current one more or less developed around, say, 7th grade.
Okay.
And it changed over time. But the entire idea of having a story based in Antarctica was more or less I used to in 4th grade I would play Club Penguin, and my dream was I want to work for Disney one day and I want to make an entire cartoon around Club Penguin, and that was it.
I see.
Though then in 7th grade, I was like, and let's give some history to this world. And I was like, let's just say in the 1940s, there was some civil war that happened in Antarctica that they would mention sometimes. That would then develop into then saying, how about we then put some empire that happened that lasted from the 1700s to the 1870s and stuff. Well, the 1790s to the 1870s, I meant. And, then it more or less broke off from Club Penguin and became now its own thing.
So basically, you want penguins in Antarctica reenacting the Yugoslavian war.
Kinda.
That's pretty cool.
But then, now, it's no longer penguins anymore. It's just
that's a shame. I think penguins would be great.
I mean, there was one anime I heard once, or was old penguins like Vietnam or something. I don't know what that was. I just saw a scene of it once.
Okay.
But it's not that.
Yeah, I get it.
Man, Kaiser, I mean, you really do have a breadth of knowledge about Catholicism, about politics, about religion in general, and you seem to know a lot about Club Penguin as well. So I'm simply amazed. We do wanted to ask a little bit more about your Twitter, because that's where we know you from, and I just wanted to know why do you still use Twitter, and how did you end up here?
The reason I still use it, I do not know myself. I would get off of it. I just haven't. Why? How I got there? I guess I made an account. I made an account in 2016 and stuff. And for a while, it was nothing like it is now. Definitely nothing like it is now. And back then, my politics were still extremely left wing. I was more or less around all this Twitter. And if I get a lot of attention from my tweets now, back then I literally got no attention from it. If I tweeted something, no one would care, and I would get, say, the occasional like, but I wouldn't get any other. I wouldn't really get any other like from it.
Seems you found your audience now.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how I ended up on Anime Twitter. I think it's because I followed one friend, and then I just followed all of his friends. I was like, these guys seem cool. I guess let me friend his friends, and then I found other people.
Do you think your Twitter mutuals, Twitter followers that live in America would vote for you to become their emperor?
The real question is, would they be voting for me in general?
I do have a couple of quotes, some famous Kaiser quotes that someone sent to me when I told them that we were doing this.
Pull up the Kaiser quotes, Jamie.
Pull up the Kaiser quotes.
Damn, look at him go.
I don't know if that's a good thing or bad.
Let's see. There's a specific one. I don't have the tweet up, but I have the quote from here. You said at some point in time that if I had a sister, I would not be single. What specifically? Could you elaborate a little bit on what you specifically meant by that?
What did he mean by this?
What did he mean by this?
Up to your own interpretation.
I see. I see.
It could either mean I like incest, or it could mean maybe a sister would help me get a girlfriend, which I wouldn't mind, but I don't even think it'll get me a girlfriend.
There's no shame in your sibling being your wingman, I guess.
I guess.
Let's see. This one's very interesting. Balls are cute when they are shaved.
I don't know why I said that in its animal. That is more of a cringy one.
What?
And that
what would spur that thought? What would spur that
I don't
thought,
know.
Kaiser?
I forgot. This was like a year ago.
Do you think sometimes you get a little bit crazy and you say things that you don't really mean?
I did it myself, but
you did this to yourself.
You shaved your balls?
But in a sense, I don't think anyone needs to know about where I groom myself in general.
Did you get a mirror and like take a picture of it and compare like a before and after? How like why did this thought happen?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's see.
Let's just ignore that one.
Okay. Well, let's move on to one that's a little bit easier to explain. I think. This quote here, it says, "Hitler would have loved me."
Hitler would have loved me. That's it.
Why would Hitler have loved you though?
Are you the perfect Aryan specimen or what?
I wouldn't say that, but I don't know. Maybe I think Hitler would be like, I like this guy. He talks nice. He's intelligent. He's cool, I guess. I don't know why Hitler would love me specifically.
Well, Kaiser, the first thing any true Hitler fan knows, are you a fan of dogs?
Yeah, I like dogs.
Then Hitler probably would have loved you. Daddy Adolf would have said, hey, you're a cool guy.
And there's one more, and actually I think there's two more, but this one specifically that I'm looking at, we actually talked about it a little bit earlier on in the podcast, and you clarified that there's some things you've done you don't particularly agree with anymore, and you are a continuously moving person. You try to improve every day.
You change.
But this specific quote really caught me. It hit a strange note with me, and I just wanted to know. It says, "Me and my boyfriend are both Christians. We may be in a relationship, but we oppose the gay agenda."
Okay. I do not know why I did that back in the past, and that's something I would like to forget about. But it's something I get reminded about every day. I wish I was, and I wish it never even happened to begin with. I wish I went up to myself
It's okay.
Kaiser,
we're not judging
this. Can I ask you this, Kaiser? Is this boyfriend that you're referencing? Is this the same as the trans, or is this a different person?
A different person and stuff. Now,
person. Okay.
if I could, I'd go back in time, and before it happened, I would slap myself in the face and say, "Stop!"
Can I ask you this then, Kaiser? Are you still friends with this person? Do you still talk to them?
No.
No, not anymore. Okay.
All right. No. That's fair enough. I apologize for bringing that up. It's not really.
It's just. I don't know. It's just sometimes I like to, I would like to move on, but I feel like a lot of people don't want me to. They're like, oh, guy did blank in the past, so I guess that defines him now. It's not how anyone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We should let the past be the past and bygones be bygones. Which is why the last tweet I want to talk about is actually one that you tweeted in February, just 2 months ago. And this one actually made me chuckle when I saw it too. So I want to know particularly what you were thinking when you tweeted it. It says, "If I was 5'3", I could achieve cute boy aesthetic and live this life.
Because basically I just wanted a mommy girlfriend. Dumb thing. I do not know why.
No, the second half of the tweet makes it great. It's, if I was 5'3", I could achieve cute boy aesthetic and live this life. Sadly, I'm 5'9", so I'm forced to be Chad."
It's just
5'9" is the Chad Markov? What?
I don't know. Oh well, I just embraced my height and said I can have a mommy GF while also being I think, dumb at the same time.
Mhm.
I don't know how that'll work out, but I'll figure it out.
You know-
Kaiser, why do you need to be a cute boy to get a mommy GF? What's up with that, man? I don't get that.
I don't get it either.
So why do you want to be a cute boy then?
I don't know.
Do you think it's just more aesthetically pleasing to be a young, flamboyant boy instead of a rugged, masculine man with a mommy GF?
I think it'll be more pleasing to not be myself how I am now, but yeah, I can't do anything about that.
Again, the suffering of a Chad. You hate to
The
see
suffering
It's not-
of an absolute Chad.
It's not that. It's just
We can all
that.
say, what we can all say, Kaiser, is that even if you don't appreciate your current self, I think there is plenty of people, including us, that appreciate you as you are right now.
I think a big problem is the fact that I have a reasonable height, but at the same time I'm still kind of skinny and I don't like it.
I think 5'9" is like the average American height, I believe. Average male height, yeah.
No, I mean the thing is, when you're sort of high, skinny wonks out, but taller height it really doesn't.
Because you'd say you're a very scrawny fellow, right?
In a sense, kind of, yeah. Like, if you're sort of height again, like out and stuff, because it's not too distracting. But if you're like 6 foot and skinny and stuff, then you look like a lanklet. And
Yeah.
want to
Do you look like a lanklet, or are you just like
I wouldn't say
kind of
so.
kind of a skinny guy?
Just kind of a skinny
See,
guy.
if I remember correctly, Zipper's a bit scrawny right now, and me, I'm built like a fucking dwarf, like a fantasy dwarf. So yeah, I'll tell you what, Kaiser, it's not fun being 5'3".
Yeah, I wouldn't know myself though. I haven't been 5'3" and say since 4th grade.
Yeah, honestly, neither of us are Chad enough to even be able to be on speaking grounds with you. Honestly, you have to bend down and look at us to talk at us from that 5'9" height.
Honestly, it's like looking at a skyscraper and I'm next to you, Kaiser.
Probably not, but I wouldn't know. That was
Alright.
the first though.
I guess, to close this off, I just want to ask you, Kaiser, we talked about your journey here. We talked about your beliefs and all that. Where do you see yourself in the future, Kaiser? How old are you right now, by the way?
16.
You're 16, and you've been through some stuff in the couple past years, right? Since 2018, I believe, is when you got on Twitter.
Sorta, I would say so. Not much has really changed other than I'm no longer an atheist or a Protestant.
And no longer dating a man.
Yeah.
It's 2020, and you got a lot of years left, Where do you see yourself in the future?
I don't know. Well, it depends on how far you go. The more I don't see myself anywhere.
Okay, Kaiser, this is a job interview. You're high school, so you're gonna be doing this. This is a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, college.
College? What kind of college?
Any I could get in with, but I'm looking for an ROTC program because I do want to be in the military in a sense.
Okay. What are you studying?
I would just say history because the job I would really want doesn't require any degree. It's nothing like an engineering job or a nursing or a doctor's job, so I really don't.
Do you want to be like a history teacher or something?
Not really. I just like history in general.
Well, what's the job you going for?
A tank. I want to be an armored officer in the military, and those are just the people who do the tanks because in the army more specifically, because the military just means any fighting branch.
You want to be a tank commander, basically.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Now, you see yourself enlisting in the military, doing the ROTC program at a college, and then going and working a job at the military. After all of that has been said and done, let's say you did in fact go ahead and try to run for office to engage in this American empire, to begin the creation of it, in whatever small way you could. At what age would be your goal for starting to run for political office?
What age? I I would not know myself.
You wouldn't know?
Yeah, it just depends on whatever the political problems are going on at the time.
So
I
if
guess.
you see a very dire need of your policies in the nation, you may actually step up and take action and come and run for office. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I guess, but if there's a civil war that breaks out and I'm in the military and I'm just a very good commander, then I guess I can just take the power militaristically then.
I see.
I see. A sort of Caesar maneuver, huh?
Yeah.
Very interesting, That would make you a war hero, Kaiser.
It depends on if I win. Hopefully I would win because I don't want to die.
Well, if you're an Omega Chad, you'll always win.
That's true, I guess.
All right. Well, I'm pretty satisfied with this. How about you, Gondola?
I think we got all the answers we needed here. I just want to thank you, Kaiser, for coming on to the show, talking with us today, letting us interview you. Do you have anything you would want to say, Kaiser, before we close this out?
Not that I know of.
Thank you all for listening to the first episode of Philosophy of Autism with our guest, Kaiser. His current Twitter account is @AnimeEaglist. That's ANIMEEAGLIST. If you enjoyed this episode, follow my SoundCloud and YouTube channel to stay updated with any future content. Me and Zipper plan on making more episodes soon, so stay tuned. Leave a comment letting us know how you like this episode and what you would like to see from us. Thanks again for watching, and see you all later.